Hi, everybody. Welcome. Welcome today. Glad to have you here. Thank you for spending your time with us here today. We're looking forward to this a lot. We have two segments today. We have a segment from Meg. I can't wait to see what she's got up her sleeves here. She's got some good stuff today. Anyway, I'll let her introduce it. But on top of that, I have a special channel from the group that'll be right after that. They want to talk about something that we've been bringing up a lot in the Lightmaster groups. And I want to explain this really quickly. We just showed a video of the next focus event that's coming up. We basically have two segments that we do here at espavo.org. One of them is the new segment with a new name, a new focus every month. We call those the focus channels. And they're generally 2 to 3 days. Three separate things. They're generally about $72, just to kind of give you an idea of what we're doing. And people can come in and just try those out. Now, most of the time, these are going to also be set for beginners. Anybody who we don't, in Lightmaster, many times we'll use language, we'll go right to things we've already talked about, we'll go right into the deeper stuff. But on the focus channels, we try to keep it available for everybody who's able to see whether they're familiar with the terminology we use or not. So that's the biggest piece that I can tell you about today. The focus channel coming up is about remote viewing and telepathy. We've done this before in Lightmaster, so I'm thrilled to bring it here to you here before too. How does that fit? Well, that's going to be up to you. Some people are going to be really good at this. Other people, like myself, are terrible at this. But you don't know until you try. And the group has a whole bunch of suggestions that they're going to be using and so forth. The other thing that we do here at espavo.org is to work with Lightmasters. You've heard of me use that name a lot. The Lightmasters are a very segregated group. They're in a different situation. We basically don't pull any punches. We go right to the heart of the subject in the Lightmasters. The Lightmasters are the first 3 Fridays of each month. And then they also have access to the focus events. So they actually get usually 6 events every month that are in Lightmaster. Many times they'll skip the focus event because many times, like we did with remote viewing, we've done this already in Lightmaster, so we'll tend to skip it from time to time on those just to kind of see how that works. But we do try to spread this out for you and work with this, so know that we are there. We'd love for you to come join us in Lightmaster. Lightmaster has several opportunities. Number one, you can jump right in at any time. It's $111 a month. That is going to be changing soon. I will tell you, we've got a lot of changes coming up. We've got a lot of things that are shifting here as we move into our new home. We have a new way of, a new website, a new way of working with things, a new system that we're going to be using even for the videos. So I'm very much looking forward to that. When we do that, we're probably going to have to raise the price a little bit on Lightmasters. Anyone who is previously in Lightmaster will not get that price raised. So if you are interested or have been thinking about Lightmaster, it's a really good time to join us. Just jump in. It's a month-to-month thing. It's automatically renews every month, but you can stop it anytime you want. So we call it a perpetual membership. I'm looking forward to that a lot. We're having a lot of fun in Lightmaster right now, so I hope you come and join us. Try it out. See what we have to offer you. Also, on top of that, we are moving, as I mentioned. Now, we've had some challenges from time to time with website going down. Our website went down about a week ago. We got attacked. We're under attack all the time. We also have some very good security in place, so it's pretty rare that they would actually get us to go down like that. But they did. They got through, and were able to. It actually shut off the database, so that's how it worked. Anyway, we got it right back. We figured out what was going on. But we are under attack, and I don't think it's just us. If you haven't been watching the podcasts that I do, the Backstory podcast, it talks a lot about this. Number 7 is currently out. We've talked a lot about the hacking that's going on, the things that are taking place. War has moved online, in case you're not familiar with what we're talking about. There's a lot of information on that. There's a podcast that comes out every 2 weeks. Number 7 is currently out. Number 8 will be coming out fairly next week. So every Friday every other Friday we drop the podcast. It's called The Backstory. You can find it here at aspavo.org, but you can also find it any place where podcasts are. You can find it on YouTube. You can find it on Spotify. You can find it on on Apple. You can find it almost any place where you get your normal podcast. You'll find The Backstory. It's listed under Aspavo TV for many of you because the word Aspavo was already taken. Isn't that strange? We created that word, but it was already taken, so we couldn't come up with just Aspavo. Anyway, welcome today. I'm glad you're here. I'm very honored to be with you. I can't wait to hear what the group has to say. But in the meantime, we've got a little information from Meg coming up. I want to bring her up right away. She has been just an absolute jewel with us. We do have some, like I said, we have a few things that are going to be shifting here in the near future, but we're very honored to have Meg be a part of this family as long as she has, and all the incredible wisdom she's been giving us. And if you're interested in private sessions with her, she does them regularly. I do not do them regularly. So sometimes I'll have something on the website, sometimes I won't. This month I don't have anything on the website because we are moving our server. We're moving all of our services probably over the next 2 to 3 weeks. So we'll be changing a lot of things. The website itself is going to change. We built a beautiful website for you. I hope you enjoy it. And I hope to get some feedback from all of you about what you think about it and what you like and what you don't like. But we're moving at the speed of love, which is slightly faster than the speed of light. Welcome home, everybody. I'm very honored to be with you. I will be back with a channel from the group for the month in just a few minutes. In the meantime, welcome to Meg Adamson.
Hi, everybody. So nice to be here with you again this month. Let's dive right in. What I want to talk about this month is imposter syndrome. Now, the definition in the dictionary of imposter syndrome is the persistent inability to believe that one's success is deserved or has been legitimately achieved as a result of one's own efforts or skills. Now, why this matters. Current statistics show that 44% of people under the age of 21 report feeling like they are experiencing imposter syndrome in their lives. 55% of the ages between 21 and 27, and 82% of college graduates report feeling imposter syndrome. Overall, the statistics showed 70% of adults today feel as though they are living with the feelings that they do not deserve success or can legitimately achieve it as a result of their own efforts. 70%. That's just staggering to me. Social media has really changed our landscape, hasn't it? Where in my age group, and I'm in my 50s, we didn't grow up with cell phones or Google. Right? We took the bus to the library. We checked out a book to read. We did our research at the library. If we were lucky, our parents gave us a ride. I always had a quarter. My parents always gave me a quarter to call for a pickup from my dad or my mom if it started to get dark out. They didn't want me to take the bus home. They'd come and pick me up. I spent a ton of time as a youth reading in my room, and I used to always write. I would write poems or short stories. I loved using my imagination, and traveling to inner worlds was part of my life. That was part of my routine. And in today's world, when we look at the kiddos today, we have so much good at our fingertips. So do they. But we have to be able to have developed really strong emotional resiliency to be able to handle all the rest that comes with social media, like bots and trolls and people triggered by your posts who just want to tear you down because of how you make them feel about themselves. And you're not actually posting about that. You might be posting about your win. You might be really happy, and with imposter syndrome, you don't feel like you deserve it, so something happens and you try to celebrate it, and somebody comes along and wants to tear that down because how they feel about your success has nothing to do with you or your success. It's about how they feel about them. That's such a key piece for people of all ages to really understand now, but predominantly for anyone feeling like they don't matter, or they can't make a difference in the world, or what they want isn't attainable, it's not reachable for them. Because that's simply not true. But if you believe it is, you're going to make sure that that's the experience that you have. So we need to understand that when someone posts something negative or wants to reroute it or wants to tear us down for it or says things like, well, that must be nice, it's easy for you, it's not really about you. It has nothing to do with you at all. The way people behave is about how they're feeling about themselves. And the more that you are happy in today's world, the more that you are atypical to society and what society says should be happening. So if you are making money, if you're feeling happy, if your relationship is very loving, if you feel good in your life, you feel lucky in your life, you wake up every day like, I'm not sad that it's Monday, I'm happy that it's Monday, I love my clients, I love going to work, that can be very triggering for other people. And we're not responsible for that. We are responsible for how we feel. But if they vocalize that, we can start to respond to that. We can start to hide. We can start to become smaller, dim our light. Or we can engage trying to turn things around for them. And that's not our responsibility either. So when we start to set higher standards for ourselves and hold to them, no matter who's around us or how they behave, you're going to notice that one, your life gets a lot better. And two, you may trigger people around you because it causes them to have feelings about themselves, their lives. And it's hard, but it's not about you. When we have feelings, it's our responsibility to investigate them. But somewhere we were taught, somewhere we were conditioned to believe that we were entitled to demand that other people change in order for us to feel better. I find this really interesting as a clinical hypnotherapist because I watch for patterns, I study patterns, how we are training our subconscious minds. And social media is really training us to constantly come back for that dopamine hit, right? And with that, are you noticing now that we are hit with ads? The ads have quadrupled. In 2024, the social media advertising market is expected to reach $219 billion with a B, billion dollars. Social media was initially launched as a connection tool, right? That was Facebook. That was, we can connect with each other eventually around the world. It was local and then it went global. But now the real estate in our heads is so profitable. Now that we're addicted to social media from the launch of connection, the stats are now showing that 75% of people use social media to make their buying decisions. That's incredible what's changed. So you can see why the brick and mortars are struggling. We're doing most of our shopping online. But here's the thing. Let's combine imposter syndrome and advertising and the real estate in our brain. So if we're making our buying decisions based on those feelings that we're having, imposter syndrome, and we're not actually changing the limiting beliefs of where they come from, their source, their origin, we begin to just soothe ourselves with purchase habits that we're being trained into in an online space that we're already addicted to, that we've associated with as the space for connection. It's quite manipulative when you break it down like that. So is it bad? Not necessarily. Like anything else, It provides a convenience, it provides a service, it connects the globe. There's a lot of good. It can be used for all kinds of good. But it all comes down to us individually, to have the capacity to consciously make our choices. Right? When I work with people to change their self-beliefs, we typically see that they made a decision about themselves before the age of 10. We all have programming, and you've heard me talk about this before, because the part of our brain that actually builds our ability to rationalize does not start to actually mature until the age of 7. Between 7 and 13, it forms in the brain. So before the age of 7, we've all had an experience, multiple experiences, where we felt emotional pain. Somebody teased us. A sibling told us we were from the garbage men. That was mine. We had a parent be disappointed in us. We didn't get the best grade. We didn't win the spelling bee. Somebody teased us or bullied us at school. Everybody's had programming before the age of 7. And then we make a decision when that happens. And that decision starts to create coping mechanisms later in life. But that decision sounds something like, I can't see that it's a set of circumstances that are happening here because I don't have the ability to rationalize. I don't have rational thinking. So instead, we say, I am. Right? I'm not safe, or I'm not loved. This must be my fault. Something's inherently flawed within me. I'm stupid. And so over time, that creates our identity. That secret we start to feel a lot of shame about, and we hide. We don't want people to know that. So we start to perform. We become performative on social media. And this is what the younger generation is learning. They're learning that they have to be on all the time, performing all the time. They don't get to just take the bus to the library and sit and read a book. They don't spend hours off of social media because they've been raised with it. If we have all been addicted to it, imagine growing up with it. It's just part of your everyday life. It is part of your culture. You have nothing else to compare it to. So now this becomes our identity, this false belief. Now, this happened before we're 7, and our brains want to protect us. So we're now avoiding ever experiencing that again. So we're developing coping mechanisms. And then we're experiencing life constantly with our nervous system responding, watching for where that threat might be, and always believing it. So we're projecting out into the world, and we're going to attract back experiences. They're going to validate that. So now this becomes cemented truth for us. This is just factual truth because we've had circumstance after circumstance after circumstance justify and compound that belief over our life. So we then start having these feelings of, well, this is true, so I can't possibly have what I want. I can't possibly be successful on my own. I can't have what I want in the world. The world's not going to support me. Maybe other people can do it. Maybe it works for them, but it's just not going to work for me, right? We're just going to keep compounding that old belief, which creates the identity. And yet, what is imposter syndrome? We don't believe that we can. But I believe inherently the reason it feels so badly is because there is an inherent conflict within you. Because there is a part of you, that innate intelligence that flows through you, that's never going to be on board with that belief. Never. Now, this is the intelligence that when you go to sleep at night, you don't have to say, okay, Meg, make sure your lungs keep expanding and contracting all night. Make sure you keep breathing. Make sure your heart keeps beating 60 beats a minute. We're not monitoring. So what's running that? What intelligence is running all of these systems? Well, that intelligence knows where you come from, knows what you're made of, knows that it's an absolute miracle that you're you, with all of the different genetic possibilities there were and the crapshoot that was. Who you are is extraordinary. So it is never going to be on board with you telling yourself you can't have what you want and that you're not good enough. And that is why it feels so terrible. So now we've got billions and billions of dollars coming towards us saying, I will help you feel better about that. But unless you actually go back to the origin of where that comes from in your own experience, in your own childhood, in your own mind, we're really just trying to put a Band-Aid on a false belief if I get the thing, if I buy the $3,000 handbag, or I'm driving the $40,000 car, or I live in the big house, or I finally get that relationship, then I will be okay. It's performative, and there's a lot of manipulation involved in this. And yet none of those things are actually bad. So many things are good if we have emotional intelligence and resilience. So it's interesting because in early education, we used to learn in circular learning. When I did research and studied this, the original schools, you used to sit in a circle and we would help each other. So it was a test where everyone learned together. So if you didn't get one part right, your classmate on either side of you likely did, and they could share how they came to understand that correct answer. Same with you. So a part that you got right, a part that you got wrong. This, we had very high marks and was very successful, and our self-esteem was not broken. It was intact because we were circular learning. But after the US military style training was so successful, having one person in command and all others just expected to follow, they adapted it in schools, and they moved all the desks from being in a circle into rows. And so we were trained just to follow instructions. So if you didn't have that healthy rite of passage into adulthood, into reconnecting and trusting your own instincts, having your own guidance system, and you're really just trained into following someone else, then we didn't really learn or believe that we had what we needed within us in order to be successful and to be happy. So we need outside conditions to match up, and they don't. Starting to see where this makes sense? So without that rite of passage, where you learned how to become emotionally mature and intelligent, you've now instead got 7-year-old you feeling not good enough, not safe, on social media, following the instructions of the ads to fix you. Right? That, you see the manipulation there? So it's all in service to money, and that's not a bad thing per se. It's incredible that we have so much available to us now, and more than ever, there are more millionaires now than ever before, more entrepreneurs more than ever before, more startup companies than ever before, more women-owned businesses than ever before, and they reach a platform of thousands and maybe millions of customers through Instagram and Facebook. But as a consumer, are you shopping with imposter syndrome? That's the real question. Because if we've not evolved into a place of deep self-love, of self-worth, and being here, living our lives to the fullest, these precious, precious lives that we have, we're not running our lives from that innate intelligence within us, from that real truth within us. Instead, we're running it from the 7-year-old that still believes we're not good enough, who's trying to fix it, but hiding it, ashamed of it, and trying to fix it through performative arts and shopping and soothing those feelings. And that leads to all kinds of experiences where we get that dopamine hit and then we get that crash. We get that dopamine hit and we get that crash. Now that's wonderful if you're providing a product or a service for people because you can ship all over the world. And there are a lot of companies doing a lot of really great work. But if you're the consumer and you're constantly consuming, you see the pattern over time. It doesn't fix it. It doesn't fix what you're trying to fix. And not only does it not fix what you're trying to fix, because you enjoy the thing for a little while and then you want the next thing. You want that next dopamine hit. Not only does it not fix the thing, it doesn't change the belief. So how do we start to turn this around? Right? First, we really have to investigate the beliefs that we carry. We have to question. The more that you have an answer that comes out like automatically, the more you need to question it and see, is that actually true? Like, undeniably, is that true? Because when you start to investigate it for the purpose of healing, you're going to see that you had a circumstance, you had multiple circumstances, and you made a decision from them about you. It was personal. You responded personally. The decision was about you. And that decision about yourself you made when you didn't even have all the resources and tools and emotional intelligence that you have now. So you have to question it. Is it still true 20, 30, 40, 50 years later? Because what you've been doing is hiding that belief. And with maybe shame. And you've been justifying it over and over and over again throughout your life, having experiences that prove you right, to prove your belief to be true. But that's how your brain works. All that means is that you just keep recreating the same identity over and over and over again, validating the lie that you think is truth that's created your identity. This mechanism is powerful. It's your subconscious mind. And you are that powerful. The subconscious mind is your ally. It just takes instructions that are impressed upon it. But you've been instructing it over and over again that you are not good enough, you are not safe, the world is a bad place, and things don't work out for you. So you feel imposter syndrome every day. But the reason why I think it's called imposter syndrome is because the innate intelligence within you will never agree with that. So that's not who you are. It is an imposter. It's not who you are. And if you could own that you've been working it and yielding it so well, even though it feels terrible, you can say, if I'm that powerful to create this perfectly, to prove that I'm right, can I make a different choice and prove that that's right? Right? Can I use the same mechanism? Can I teach my subconscious mind to find the evidence of a new truth for me, one that's congruent with who I really am becoming, who I want to be, who I was always intended to be, because that starts to feel like relief. That starts to feel like there's something more here than what I've been telling myself all along. And that's the investigative work, because over and over and over again, I see clients every day, all day. And as we blueprint and move through them, we always discover what those limiting beliefs were. And when we start to reframe them, everything else starts to dissolve, starts to reframe. And then we really anchor in what it is we want instead. And it's amazing how quickly we start to see the evidence of that. I can't tell you how many times a client will say to me, Meg, I can't believe it. We just talked about this last week, and this showed up, and this showed up, and I started looking, and something happened over here. Those were written. That's what I've been instructing my subconscious mind with. So the mechanism is so powerful, but it is your ally. If we could step back for a minute from that injured 7-year-old, from that belief that says it's so personal and I'm not good enough, we could put that down for a minute and back up from it like 6 or 8 feet, just back up a little bit and look at that. Wouldn't we want to just hug that younger person and say, you know what? It's just a circumstance that happened. Dad was mad that day. So-and-so was a bully that day. The teacher, we just didn't get it wrong. Nobody's perfect. If we could start to do that and question what we think is true, then you're going to see your beliefs are creating the appropriate reality for you. You just might not like it. And that's okay. That doesn't mean anything's flawed with you. It means you can change your mind. Literally change your mind. And I thought that was a conversation worthy of having. If I can be of assistance to you in any way, just reach out through the website, megadamsonhypnotherapy.com. I would be happy to set up a consult and talk with you about your goals. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your month. It's always such a pleasure, and it's always such an honor for me to be welcomed into your homes, into your hearts, into your lives. I appreciate that so, so very much. This world needs a lot more people connected to themselves, feeling good, inspiring themselves, living how they want to, and then going out and inspiring others. Thank you. Be well. Until next time. Bye for now.
Thank you, Meg. Incredible. Incredible. I love the way she puts things. It's just a really magical way to look at yourself and see what's going on from a totally different perspective. Welcome. I'm going to be bringing in the group here in just a second. So we'll be able to work with the group and bring through the message for today. I look forward to it a lot. Have a wonderful day, and I will be right back with the group. Spavo. Greetings from home, dear ones. We welcome you this beautiful day. For your energy has set something into motion already. The magic has begun on planet Earth. You're moving to a different level of vibration. And although the move itself can be troublesome, can be difficult, the reality is all of humanity is more than ready for this. So let us explain a little bit of what this looks like and what is directly in front of you that all of you can anchor in different ways. First of all, know that you are not alone. That there are many beings around you right now who are visiting planet Earth through these portals that we talked about opening. It's a magical time because they're here mostly to work with your planet, to help her recorrect a few of the massive moves that she's been making to bring a new possibility to planet Earth for all of humanity to experience in the near future. So welcome, dear ones. Let us explain a little bit of how this works and the new energies that you'll be experiencing. Because as you raise vibration, which is happening at a massive level for all of humanity right now, as you raise vibrations, you become harmonically entwined with other things that you have not been aware of. In other words, if you're vibrating at a certain rate here, then you have different things throughout your vibrational range. And when you find one that vibrates the same as you, you connect to it. It is a vibrational connection that you make all the time. Now, with any vibration, dear ones, you must go through a substrate. You must go through a form. Everything on your side of the veil travels in waves. But what does it travel through? In other words, the keeper is speaking right now, putting vibrational waves into the air, which are being picked up by his microphone, turned into an electrical signal and sent to you to put back into waves through your speakers where you can hear it. The medium, or the substrate in that case, is air. Air is carrying those waves. But you have many different areas that you are not aware of that are starting to change on your planet. Dear ones, some of those that you've called, your sciences have moved in a beautiful direction back in the 1920s when they discovered quantum physics and quantum mechanics in general. It's a fascinating way to look at life. You're learning more of the secrets that were discovered in quantum physics in your daily lives today than you ever have before. These are magical times, and magical things are happening. But as you are raising your vibration, you're falling into harmony with other things that you haven't been aware of. So let us bring that to your attention a little bit, tell you a little bit of what that looks like. You see, dear ones, there's all this space. As you look out into the night sky, you can see these distant galaxies, these distant stars that are all around. But for the most part, dear ones, you do not see everything that is going on. You cannot see many of the planets that are there. You cannot see many of the other dimensions that work with you all the time. Now, your sciences have discovered something. Well, they're trying to discover it. It's called dark energy. or even dark matter. Dark matter is the space that you see, apparently with nothing in it, but it does have things in it. That's the fascinating part. And this dark matter, as you call it, is what fills up 70% of your universe. And it also has rules. It keeps everything together. It is the reason that galaxies are formed the way that they are, because of dark matter. Now that's your science's word for it. There's also another word that they're using a lot called dark energy. And the word darks, dear ones, simply means that they don't know. It means that the wisdom has not completely filled in on those yet, so they're still trying to figure out exactly where they are. So in any way, let us explain this to you. As you talk about dark energy, you've been working under the conception of the Big Bang. In other words, an origin place where things started expanding really rapidly. It's easy to see that, dear ones, and yet very challenging in many ways, because a lot of your energies are working in different ways that you cannot always perceive these things. But here they are, now starting to move in different directions entirely. So with this, let us explain about the energy. For as you talk about all of everything expanding at incredible rates as a result of the Big Bang, which, by the way, you will find was not actually a Big Bang, yet it's a good starting point for you to understand. But as all of these stars, as all of these galaxies started expanding outward, you have an understanding of physics on your planet that is called Newtonian physics for Isaac Newton. And the reality is that normally, in an explosion of that nature, as you start to reach the outer bands of it, it slows down. The explosion slows down and takes a different energy, doesn't it? But not so here with yours. The reality is that all of your planets in your galaxy, in your universe, are speeding up. They're going faster, not slower. Now, part of that is because of the shape of the universe, which your sciences is still working with to try and work out. But it is actually in the shape of a torus. So to measure that distance of how far something is away from you includes a space curve that is not always taken into consideration. But let us tell you it's there. But because of everything speeding up, that means that there is an energy there that is making that happen. And your sciences have simply called it dark energy. Now that we've explained it from that perspective, let us share with you our perspective of the same thing. It's quite complicated, but in reality, we see dark energy and dark matter as the same essence. It's basically the same. So if you look at those two things and you can understand that, that is also a medium, a substrate, if you will, that can carry vibrations. Now, humanity has not used those vibrational ranges before. Why? Well, that goes back to your vibrational levels. Your vibrational levels are way down here compared to what you are now working with up here. So you were not in a harmonic resonance to be able to use those things or be able to work with that. That is changing. Humanity is starting to rise. And yes, we know there's all sorts of challenges and difficulties and finger pointing and division and everything else on your planet. But that is a normal process when things are starting to evolve at the rate that they are evolving now. But as you do that, you start to come in contact, in harmony with some of these other aspects that you've never used before. We're going to call it light energy, just to confuse everyone. But the reality is you can tap into this light energy like never before. It's never been possible for you to do this before. But now that humanity is raising to this level, It is not only possible, but it's right in front of you. You have opportunities to change every part of this right now. So how does one do that? Well, dear ones, you've been sending energy out into the universe in many different ways. We told you a couple of months ago about the incredible energy that your smile has. We called it Smile Your Way Home. Because when you smile, your vagus nerve lights up. And it goes all the way through your body, and it sends waves into this light energy that we are talking about. And that can be felt. Not only by other humans, but by many of the beings in the universe that you cannot see. There are possibilities for you connecting in new ways that you've never thought possible. And these are magical times, dear ones. So how does one actually integrate this? How do you instigate the whole process to get it moving? Well, your meditations, your sacred time is part of it. That is part of your centering of your energy. When you are fully centered in your own energetic bubble, it's a magical thing because you send out these normal vibrations into the universe. And normally, those vibrations did not have a substrate to carry that vibration out. So it only went out a fairly short way into the universe. That is changing. And it's a magical time to see that happen. You have a torus around your body. As we mentioned, dear ones, the universe is actually in the shape of a torus. But you also have a personal torus that's around your physical body. And that torus is what sends out energy into this light energy that we talk about. The torus itself can be illustrated by this ring. It's actually a beautiful way to look at the torus and how it's constantly circulating, not only bringing in energy from this direction, but also moving in this direction. So it is basically what surrounds your being. Now, when you are able to actually put energy consciously into the torus, it's a magical time, dear ones. And that is what sends out universal energy. For those are the words that we called this 20 some odd years ago when we wrote the book, remember. It was called universal energy because it's everywhere. And it's also a vibrational range which humans can now start to use. The universal energy itself is part of your world. It's part of your galaxy. It's part of the universe. And you're starting to be able to use it consciously. That is new. And this is a perfect time to be bringing this out and to work with this, because it can break down the disharmonies that are on your planet. Your planet is filled right now with all this confusion. You have all these politics going on. You have all these stories being told right and left to try and convince you to move in one direction or the other. But we tell you, dear ones, your heart knows the way home. And that's more important than any decision you will make about this, because your energy is here and your love is growing. That's the basis of it. What happens to your torus when you're fully in love? It grows, it expands, and it moves quicker to bring more of the energy through you. It's a magical space. You're going to find out much more about this as you go forward. We've been talking about the toroid because you can change energy quite basically with this torus once you know how it works. And you can change the energy by changing the pace that your torus runs. You can change the direction that it moves in. As we mentioned, there's two directions that it takes. It's not only moving in this direction to bring things in from the top and out through the bottom, but it's also moving in this direction. So what if you were to be in some place where you couldn't quite fit in? Could you consciously move it in the other direction? Yes, you can. It takes a little practice. Humans are not accustomed to doing this at this point, but you will. You'll see much more of the opportunities for you to extend your light out just through a simple energy of smiling. We tell you, the magic that you hold is so great. And yet, you rarely get to see it yourself. But that's part of the veil, dear ones. You are not supposed to remember your magic. And yet here it is, starting to unfold a little bit more every day. So you claim parts of this, you use it, you anchor it into your reality. It becomes part of your daily world. And yet the magic is part of who you always were. We cannot teach you how to be magical, dear ones. We can only help you remember. But you are. All of the times you read books about magic, all the times you read books about Harry Potter, all the times you read books about all the beautiful, magical things that take place on your planet, they are real. That is why you're so fascinated with them. To have powers beyond the physical energies alone, to be able to see things in the future, to be able to affect things away from you. All of those are done through the light energy, through the universal energy. That's the best word to use on it. Universal energies. You're all connected through the universal energies. So when one Taurus over here is experiencing something very difficult and it has to shut down and has to try and hide from the world, try to keep itself from being seen, everyone else can feel it. So sometimes it's better just to own who you are. Sometimes it's better just to let yourself be felt. Sometimes it's better to just say, I am hurting. I am not okay. Something is wrong. Because that's when you gather all the energy from the healers on planet Earth. And we tell you, dear ones, they are waiting to connect with you. More than you can possibly know. Many of you are those healers that are waiting to jump into action, waiting to see the next levels of this. But the universal energy is starting to become more important because it will be felt in your world. You will feel vibrations coming through the universal energy. The same way you hear things when they are spoken. The same way you many times feel things, but most of the feelings are deadened. They're way blocked compared to what you're about to experience. What you are about to experience is much larger than that. You're actually returning to carry some of the attributes of home on your planet. As you walk around in density, pretending to be separate from the whole, pretending to be separate from each other. You're magical beings, dear ones. The magic is starting to grow. And that is part of the beautiful things that we can share with you. Now, how does one use this? Consciously start sending energy out. Very simple. Most of the time, your energy is about how you feel. In other words, if you're walking down the street and suddenly you become aware of something, you're checking into your body. You're seeing how you feel. How is your stomach today? How is your head doing? How are your legs doing as you're walking down the street? That is common to be focused inside the Taurus because that's where all your action has been. Now, in the near future, you will also be focusing outside the Taurus to be able to see the effect that your energy has in the planet. Now that is an incredible opportunity, and we tell you in the beginning it will be misunderstood. In the beginning there will be those who try to use it incorrectly. There will be those who try to use it selfishly. The bad actors on your planet, which there of course are many. And the reality is it doesn't make any difference. Because as you start using this, humans will learn. They'll learn how to put their best foot forward. They'll learn how to create the path in front of them before they step out the door. The highest potential of walking in the light. You are magical beings, dear ones, each and every one of you. And you're reaching a new level of magic with the universal energy. Now, we also told you some time back that you are entering the time of no more secrets. Well, that's here, is it not? You can see that in many different ways. Fear it not. It simply means that you will see other people's heart. You will feel things that you haven't been able to feel before. That is this harmonic level that you are reaching. That is exactly where it's going and what this process is about. Perfect. Use it. Play with it. Smile often, knowing that it has effect around you. It opens the door for where you are going. Opens the possibilities for the highest potential to create the path of least resistance right in front of you. You are magical beings, dear ones. You are the greatest angels that have ever lived. And here you are in place for the next miracle that is about to take place. We've told you many times of these magical things that happen sort of behind the scenes that most humans are not aware of, like the timeline cross with Eris, like the 4 stargates opening recently. And we tell you that doesn't have as much to do with humans as it does to do with the Earth. The Earth is changing very rapidly and trying to adjust to be able to support all 8 billion spirits that are now there, trying to work with you in different ways and doing quite well with it. There are great possibilities with Earth that were not there only a short time ago. And we also tell you that all of your energies working with the Earth are amplified greatly during these times. If we had to use a number, we would say it's amplified almost 56 times what you would normally have an effect with. In other words, every piece of trash that you pick up is amplified 56 times. Every time you don't drive somewhere or maybe decide to walk, that savings is amplified 56 times. And it works in both directions. If you decide to pollute, if you decide to do something that has a harmful effect on the Earth, that too is amplified 56 times what it would normally be. But you have the capabilities of changing all of that. Enjoy this journey, dear ones. Know that you are vibrating your energy out into the universe and is being felt by more beings than you ever thought possible. All eyes are on planet Earth during these times. And we have the perfect people in place. There you are. Enjoy the journey, dear ones. Know that you're in the perfect place at the perfect time. The magic has begun, and you are claiming yours more every day right now. It is with the greatest of honor that we ask you to treat each other with respect of the highest nature. Open the doors for each other. Nurture one another and play well together as you play these beautiful new games. We are magic ourselves, but nothing compared to your magic. It is our job to hold the mirror in front of you, only to help you remember who you truly are and why you came here. You're right on schedule. Well done, dear ones, well done. We are the group of 9. We are complete. Aspavo, dear ones. Thank you, everybody. I was going to say something, but I'm afraid I kind of lost it there. They take a lot of energy from me many times when we're doing that. So anyway, I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful month. We're doing a lot here at Aspavo. Keep your eyes on us. We're changing a lot. We're evolving a lot. We hope you're part of the family. Come join us whenever you can. Aspavo.org is in motion. We're really looking forward to these next steps. We hope you enjoy the new website we're building. We hope you enjoy the new systems that we're building to be able to carry the group's energy and the messages a lot further than we have in the past. Thanks for being a part of who you are and being here with us. Aspavo, everybody. God bless. Thank you for taking your power